Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It's time once again for the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Sam Blacklock Media. The 7th season and the 7th round here in Birmingham, Alabama. We go to the virtual reproduction of Barber Motorsports Park. And this is a fantastic circuit in any car. It's certainly thrown up some excellent races in this championship in the past. Been looking forward to it for quite some time. To bring it to you all live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch, myself, Reese Gardner, in the comms box with Roz Rizzo, and Jay Kennedy is behind the scenes putting everything together, bringing you these live pictures from the virtual Barber Motorsports Park. Or Ross, this track, I mean, it's a modern classic in my opinion, designed by Alan Wilson. It's been around since 2003, and for a modern venue, it is very much old school in nature.
Yeah, it is a great racetrack, Reese, and you know it is modern, but it's got a lot of old school kind of twists and turns for it as we zoom in on the very technical Barber Motorsports Park. And yeah, we've had a stacked calendar all season, not gonna lie, but this track to me is one of the standouts on that said stacked list. It kind of sits there quietly because it is a track that you kind of, you love to hate, but it's just one of those thrilling racetracks, and you can see right there, it's so tight, twisty, technical, but what it doesn't show is the elevation change. It gives this track so much character, and we're just really scratching the surface, Reese.
Yeah, we are. This track, you don't spend much time on full throttle. You're almost constantly braking and turning through these sectors, particularly the opening one, turns 1 through to 4 is a very challenging sequence. 7, 7A, and 7B coming out through turn 8 is one of the action spots on this circuit. Keep an eye out for that. And then that beautiful final sector from turn 11 all the way to the final corner at 15. Climbing up a hill and then plunging back down again twice. It is fantastic in every sense of the word, and I'm really hoping that we get some excellent racing tonight. We're going to have 3 opportunities for it. It is a 3-race format here tonight. But before we get into tonight's action, we should check out how things are in the championship standings. Well, in the pro class, it is a foregone conclusion. Bo Albert has already won the Pro Drivers' Championship, and he's taking a round off here for round 7. We'll be able to see him back in action next round at Daytona. But now, Ross, it is a race for second, and it's looking pretty close.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different tales there. Thomas Hinz, who's been a very much a model of consistency, hasn't been featuring up the front probably as much as he would have liked, but racking up those consistent finishes has landed him ahead of Josh Thomas, who was the first driver to break the streak of Bo Albert with a race victory, and Wayne Burke as well. My goodness, he's been had more ups and downs than a yo-yo this season, but you can see he's steadily started to adapt to the car, and it's starting to come good for him now. And then you look at how tight it is all the way down to Zach Kerr.
Yeah, absolutely. It's huge in pro. So many battles that we can see from the top to the bottom of that class. In the Pro-Am Championship, meanwhile, well, Corey Lazarus has a good margin over Tyson Broad and Sean Linsell, with Sam Sproul another 130 points behind Sean Linsell. The battles aren't quite as close in this class, but it will still be interesting to see how things stack up, especially considering that all classes are awarded overall points, not points in their own class. And in the AM class, Steve Tonkin continues his run at the top of those standings, and his JWME Motorsports stablemate David Clark also having an excellent run there.
Yeah, Steve's had a remarkable season so far, and he should be really, really pleased with how his season has gone so far. The job isn't done yet, so we still got to make sure he finishes as close to Clark as possible. And I'm sure Clark will be keen to finally get some more W's on the board in the AM class. But it's been thrilling to watch how these drivers develop. And I expect to see some of these guys, and I hope to see some of these guys make the step up next season.
Yeah, I'm hoping the same. Well, we're in qualifying at the moment, but we're going to rewind the tape a little bit and check out one of the most incredible incidents I've seen in the practice session. Check this out, Ross.
This is the first time I've seen a big hit from Wilson, and oh my goodness, into the stratosphere. Is that Corey Lazarus?
That's Wade Sheedy, who's gone sky high, getting into Riley Bilson down the back stretch and got another hit for good measure. Hopefully we don't see anything like that in the race, but that just goes to show you what can go wrong here at Barber with the grass right up next to the track.
Yeah, this is a simulator that does, it tries to emulate real racing conditions, but that's just pure comedic relief what we've seen there. But, look, yeah, we will expect a couple of spills and tumbles, probably not quite as dramatic as that, but it's still enjoyable to watch. On screen, we have Lachlan Capel from Evolution Racing Team. I haven't seen him much this season, but he has been an absolute star in GT3 racing lately. Still in his late teens. And he's come into a real realm of form lately, having really come into his own, and I'm hoping to see we can see him towards the front here tonight. Daniel Benefield, another old school name, I haven't seen him for a long time either, and he is extremely fast when he's on it. However, that time outside the sim, we'll see if he can spring a bit of a few surprises tonight, Reece.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. And I saw Benefield on the grid for last round. Unfortunately, we weren't able to bring you that here on SimSpeed TV. But yeah, I was really surprised to see Dan back in the driver's seat. He actually quit sim racing fully for a year or two, sold all of his gear, but now he is back in the game, and with Drop Bear Motorsport, no less. And we know how quick the Drop Bear guys are. Benefield will be bringing a wealth of experience to that team, as one of his first times is on the board there. 1 minute 29 at the moment. Still waiting for a valid lap time to be set there from the number 34. Stuart Ellis, meanwhile, in P8, and it's looking pretty good if you're a Pro-Am class driver. Another driver in the background demonstrating what can happen on the exit of the final corner. 24.6 there for Stuart Ellis, and he moves himself up to P6 as Hayden Veld runs the fastest time so far. We finally have a pro class car in the first overall position.
We've seen this a few times this season, actually, is where the pros have had a couple of laps needed a couple of laps to wind themselves up. But I think that's more the nature of the tyre model and the car, having to have a few cracks at it to finally get the lap on the board. But it's also a testament to how well the Pro-Am guys have managed to solidify their times. And we'll see them steadily drop out of the top 10, but hopefully we'll still see them continuing to remain there. We've just seen Thomas Hinn slot himself into second place, and Hayden Veld having a bit of a crossed up moment. This is one of the action spots you called out, Reece, and that is remarkably easy to do. It's a very committed corner. You've got to attack the bumps and the chicanes there, if you can call them that, and the cars are unstable at the best of times. So gonna be difficult to kind of gather up moments like that. And he was able to avoid the car ahead, but in congested fields, might not be so lucky, Reece.
Here's the exterior view. Well, yeah, Veld was very committed on the way in, and another thing you got to consider is how big the curbs are on the inside of these corners. They're not really harsh curbs like we would usually like we would usually say. They're very smooth in nature, but they do give you a hefty bump as Matt Bowler goes to the top of the timesheets, and the Evolution Racing team number 12 saw him take a couple of tumbles in practice as well. He was already backed off on his in-lap now and is cooling the car and the tyres down for another run at it in the last 10 minutes of the session. Hinsey, meanwhile, he's managed to improve quite a bit. He is currently third in Pro, fourth overall. But Sebastian Flock now on a lap at the moment in one of the other ERT Porsches. Interesting to note that Lachlan Capel, having recently joined Evolution Racing Team, he was formerly of Drop Bear Motorsports. So that's a pattern I've noticed. There's been a few Drop Bear drivers that have gone to ERT. Have a look at the time from Simon Mazzomo, meanwhile, in the 01 car, Pro-Am class champion from last season, and it looks like he is loving Barber Motorsports Park with that time.
That's fantastic to see from Mazzomo, and Benefield puts him onto the front row as well. So we're seeing a good return to form from these two, old school household names of sim racing. So really cool to see this. And yeah, Drop Bear have picked up some amazing talent in the last 12 months or so, and I believe ERT have recognised that, kept their eye on it, and given the likes of Lachlan another good shot. They've got an amazing lineup in GTs this season, and I think also going back to Drop Bear, Benefield's a great fit for that team as well. He's got so much experience to lean on, and it'll be a nice environment for him to get back into the saddle after his hiatus race.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Daniel Benefield can do here as we keep our eyes on the number 9 car of Joshua Van Treek. He's currently in 6th overall right now, 3rd in Pro-Am. Will this be an improvement for him? Doesn't quite look like it. 1 minute 26.2. It obviously had a couple of issues on that lap, and it's very easy to run into issues around here in the middle of a qualifying session. Because this track is so tight, Ross, traffic is a huge factor.
Oh, certainly, Reese. And with they crammed so much character into this track, right? It's a very small track, but lots of corners. But when we're seeing the margins that we have on track that you can see right now, only a couple of hundred splitting each car, it really shows how close this field is, how evenly matched some of these guys are, and how far some of these guys have come in this season alone. We're going to see potentially a breakout lap here that might only be 0.2 of a second, for example. But that'll be enough to kind of break the will of some of these guys, because it is so difficult to find that time, even in such a technical track like this. So you see Nico Tamoris heading through that, I want to say a clumsy chicane there, but you can see the car with a lot of attitude. This is incredibly committed and fast, this corner here. Unfortunately missed the real attitude of the car as he moved it over that high-speed bump there, and then this section is just amazing. The way the car grips up in the camber on the road, that's a great demonstration of how the car was able to just sucked into the road like it's got some kind of amazing, floor effects there. And then it's a kind of a clumsy little section, this one here, with the little flip-flop, because it is so loaded. He comes onto the main straight, a nice tidy exit for Nico Tamoris. He's heading to the line. It's only a 25.4, about 1.5 seconds. If we've seen him that slight overcommitment into turn 1, that's incredibly easy to do as well, Reese.
Yeah, it is, and unfortunately, hard right coming out of that. So if anyone does that on lap 1, it could spell disaster for most of the field. Van Treek, though, still in P1 in the Pro-Am class, but he has decided to call that run there. Still got 7 minutes left to set another time. Here's that attitude that you were looking for here, Ross. The slow-mo with Nick Tamoris over this very fast chicane. Riding those curbs nicely there, and I think he just avoided getting himself an off-track. It's very easy to pick one up there.
Yeah, that was textbook. Now, remember I said 0.2 a moment ago? Bowler just smashed the field by a good 0.7. And then by the time I finished that sentence, Daniel Benefield is now 0.2 off Bowler. So the times are coming in quickly now. So they found their groove, they found their rhythm. How much time is left in this on this track, recent? Now we've seen a few guys start to take a tumble in the lap times. This could be a very spicy end to the session. Hinsey now to the line. This also looks like a strong effort from Hinsey as well. To the line, it's still only a 23.9. a slight improvement from where he was, but he does jump onto the second row, Reese.
Yeah, good time there from Thomas Hins. It looks like the track is evolving nicely. Dylan Shepherd also just running a time good enough for P4 as well. Oh, problem there for our provisional pole sitter, Matt Bowler. He has got time to go out and do one final run there. Sean Linsell, meanwhile, up to 7th in the Pro-Am class, and Linsell has got P2 in Pro-Am to think about here. He's going to have to pull something out in these dying minutes of the session, but yeah, the rubber's being laid down. The track temperature is looking stable. In fact, it is starting to drop a little from what I'm seeing. It's at 35 degrees Celsius at the moment. We are currently in afternoon conditions. It's just coming up to 3:30 in the afternoon in sim time. So I think this is going to be the setting point for some very fast lap times, as there goes Lachlan Capel up to the front row. Good time.
Yeah, fantastic effort from Lockie. So he's now within 2/10 of Matt Bowler. Daniel Benefield right behind him as well. We still have Sean Linsell on screen. There's actually probably a lot riding on the remainder of the session for Sean. You know, he's P6 in his class. Actually, he's dropped another spot here, but his championship protagonists in Lazarus and Broad are in 3rd and 4th respectively. But how difficult it's going to be to overtake here tonight, he's going to want to get himself amongst that. He might not be too bothered about Stewart and Van Treek out front, but if he can throw the cat amongst the pigeons here, it puts pressure back on those guys. There's a 23.9.
There we go.
Well, that's much better. He'll be thrilled with that one. And there might be time for another upset. Yeah, that's an excellent effort from Sean. Exactly what he needed.
Yeah, exactly what the doctor ordered. Well, Stuart Ellis is currently on a hot lap. Let's see how he responds. First couple of sectors, I think, are looking okay. He's very aggressive over the curbs there and using that direct drive wheel rim to its full capability, but that's the lap over. He's gone into the grass, and that will invalidate his lap time. Unfortunate there. He's going to have to gear up for another one. And that came at a very easy spot on the track to run wide if you don't get the line exactly right. Speaking of getting the line right, Corey Lazarus, unfortunately, taking a bit too much out of the back straight chicane.
Wow, and in that in that moment with that spin, he's also compromised the car immediately behind him as well. I think it was a drop bear car, and Lachlan Capel goes on to provisional pole by the barest of margins as well. It's all happening in the final 3.5 minutes here, Reese. This is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely it is. I'm really enjoying this. Mazomo then down to P5 now after setting a really good time some minutes ago. Let's see what kind of improvement this will potentially be for him as we ride on board coming into the first turn. You dive down and then there's a double apex right-hander that never seems to end here at turns 2 and 3. You got to keep it tight though. Keep it nice and straight on the exit and then flat out across the crest. Beautiful section of racetrack that, and this braking zone here very challenging to get right. You go over a crest, the car will go slightly light. You have to make sure that you pull it up for that hairpin and then get the exit straight again onto this one of, I suppose, 3 back straights here on this circuit, and then down through into 7 and then into 8. Very fast entry. Got to negotiate a chicane on the way down the hill. It's another place where understeer is something that the drivers will have to deal with every single lap. How does he go here through the fast chicane? That's nice and clean. Kept it on the curbs, kept it off the grass. That's the main thing. But this is one of the places where you can make a huge mistake. Mazomo manages to pull it up through the dip and over the rise. Beautiful stuff there. And then into this penultimate corner. You got to brake and turn at the same time. You're almost coasting for the majority of your way into this corner. That's going to be one of the places where we see lots of passes here tonight with drivers trying to dive up the inside. That looks like a good exit though. He used the curb to its maximum. What's this time going to be like for Mazomo? 1 minute 23.518, and that gives him an extra position. He's up into 4th now.
That's brilliant. So we've got an ERT front row lockout and the drop bear duo on row number 2 as well. They're right. That 210 I was talking about, Reese. It has come back to haunt potentially drop bear motorsports. That's a fantastic showing from both of those guys. Sebastian Flock in P5, Dylan Shepherd in P6. Now another call out I want to make from earlier. Wayne Burke is down in 20th place. the last of the pro drivers. I was expecting a lot more from Berkey. He's got time to. I think this might be his last crack, actually, Reese.
Yeah.
Where he'll need to really get a wiggle on. So he's tried to double apex this long corner here, and hopefully that gives him the exit and run that he needs down into the hairpin, where he's going to be hard on the brakes. He'll be used to cars that squirm under brakes a lot. It looks very tentative though, Reese, but in the words of, I believe it was Alan Prost, you can correct me if I'm wrong, smooth is fast, but that also doesn't look too committed. Normally the car's squirming under traction trying to get out of that hairpin, so Berkey not really quite on the money as we were hoping. So perhaps using this time to get as climatized to the track as he can, and I expect that he'll get faster and faster throughout the night, Reese.
Yeah, I suppose so. He will. We're running a heat session in the server tonight, so once the clock hits 0, qualifying is done. If you're on a lap, you won't be able to finish it. So I think Berkey is hoping that he'll be able to get to the line before the clock hits 0. We're hearing that he has timed it right. He just needs to nail these last couple of corners. Managed to just avoid the grass there of the very thin curb, and then into the final couple of corners, then wind on the steering. Try your best to manage the heat of the front tyres. And out of the final corner, Wayne Burke comes. What's this time going to be? Low 23s are quick here, and it's going to be low 24 for Wayne Burke. It's a good improvement, puts him up to 14th right at the death, but that's not going to be good enough, unfortunately, to get into the top 10 and compete with the other pro drivers. Either way, it's time for the first of our 3 races tonight. Lachlan Capel and Matt Bowler lock out the front row for Evolution Racing Team. 0.02 of a second was the gap at the very end. Daniel Benefield getting into 3rd place. That's a fantastic job for him in the drop bear car. And then Simon Mazzomo for 9.5 Sim Sports sharing the 2nd row with him. Sebastian Flock and Dylan Shepherd will line up in 5th and 6th. Sean Linsell takes pole position in the Pro-Am class. He starts alongside P2 in the Pro class, Thomas Hins, and that's in the championship standings, sorry. Josh Van Treek and Hayden Veld will share 9th and 10th.
Next up, we have Stuart Ellis from Pro-Am, followed by Corey Lazarus, who's got the championship on the line in Pro-Am. Then we've got Tyson Broad and Wayne Burke with that last-minute improvement. Hopefully, we'll see him move his way up towards the front of the field. Alan Dawson and Riley Bilson comes next after that horrific crash in practice. And then we've got Ben Johnson and Gordon Ramsay, not the chef, but we have made that reference a number of times this season. Then we've got Wes Edwards and Ryan Jones completing the top 20.
Wade Sheedy went sky high in practice. He's down in 21st for the race 1 start alongside Sam Sproul, with Ash Davis and Kyle Zink sharing 23rd and 24th. Starting 25th will be Stefan Lawrence. He starts alongside Nick Tamores in the number 21. And then we have Josh Lane, Martin Lofthouse, 27th and 28th. Final driver to set a time in qualifying was Steve Tonkin. Rick Kuznetsov did not set a time in qualifying, but he will be starting there at the back of the grid. 30 cars here at Barber Motorsports Park. What a great grid we have. And there's a reminder of your format. 3 14-lap races with progressive grids. The finishing order of each race will decide the start of the next one. This is going to be a fun one indeed. The clock hits 0 and we get ready to go racing here at Barber Motorsports Park. The revs rise and round 7 of the AOG Porsche Cup is go. Lachlan Capel spins up the wheels on the start, instantly loses the lead. Looks like we've got a couple of drivers have poor getaways there, but leading out of turn 1 is Matt Bowler. Simon Mazzomo trying to challenge Daniel Benefield for 2nd, and then it's a race for 4th as Capel fails to defend from Dylan Shepherd, and now from Thomas Hins as well, who gets up the inside on the exit of turn 3.
Wow, remarkably clean start, but yeah, again, that poor getaway from Capel. He's trying to recover now as he fires down the inside at the hairpin. I can't quite get it done. Look at Matt Bowler trying to stretch away while he can, making hay while the sun shines. He's got Zomo and Hop Shin. Here we go, side by side here with Feld, and I believe that is that Flock? No, that's Sean Linsell. And they navigate this very tricky chicane. They're still side by side there. That's going to be a bit scary on these cold tyres. They managed to pull it off though. The cars on the inside getting the huge benefit of the inside line. A big squiggle there from the AM driver, but they're still side by side as they head into the chicane. Someone's got to yield, and they just do. Oh, and then behind it all goes completely wrong for, I believe that was Lane from the AM class.
Yeah, Josh Lane heavy into the barrier. That looked like contact with Nick Tamores there. That's a big shame for him. but lap 1 is just about complete for most of our grid. Wayne Burke and Stuart Ellis falling down the order massively. Something's gone massively wrong for the two of them. Ellis having escaped back to the pit lane apparently. But lap 1 complete, and Matthew Bowler leads the way. Benefield in second, Mazomo in third. No, Hins in... sorry. Mazomo in third, Hins in fourth, and having to fight off Lachlan Capel there behind him. Nice train of cars behind as well with Shepherd, Van Treek, and Veld. We're going to get a quick replay here to see what happened to Wayne Burke and Stuart Ellis. This was coming... Oh, no. Yeah, that's a big shame for those two. Contact across a very difficult part of the circuit going over the rise, and it looks like that's the 03 of Wade Sheedy having another off here tonight with the 955 involved as well. That's not a good re-entry there from Ash Davis. Unfortunately, that seems to have taken out Stephen Tonkin as well. That's the AM Class Championship leader.
Oh, it's all kicked off on the second lap. We've cursed it here, and we've seen Lachlan Capel recover another position. So the pole sitters starting to make some ground again. But yet, with the jumbled up field, the timing caught us out a few times on that lap with the huge changes in position. We've got Matthew Bowler's gone from second to P1, Benefield from third to second, and Simon Mazzoma, it seems pretty elementary, from fourth to third. Hinsy's up from 8th position. I think he'll cross the line in 5th once the timing corrects. And yes, there he goes. Our pole sitter is in 4th place. Dylan Shepherd hasn't moved from 6th to 6th, but he might take that as a bit of a blessing here. Josh Van Treek, the first of the Pro-Am drivers, is in 7th place, holding off Hayden Veld, who started in 10th place.
Yeah, well, things should hopefully start calming down here. Stefan Lawrence leading the way in the AM class. He's not that far ahead of Martin Lofthouse, though, so he's going to have to keep an eye out for that. And he is getting a slight bit of slipstream down these, albeit very short straights from the cars up ahead. And take it easy, car number 88 there, Rick Kuznetsov, who started right at the back of the grid. He is making big gains here, up to 17th and 9th place in the Pro class, chasing down Lawrence and Sproul there. And just behind them, they do have Nick Tamores, who's had a bit of an eventful night so far. We check back in with Dylan Shepherd in the battle for the top 5. He has lost 2 spots, unfortunately. It looks like Veld and Van Treek have both gotten past him, and Shep is having some issues keeping the rear end of that car under control.
Yeah, potentially just getting a bit hot under the collar. He'd be frustrated having lost positions, but that's only going to exacerbate the problem. So here we go. Oh, and he's run it wide very, very early into this chicane section. He's held it quite nicely, but he would have copped a slowdown for his troubles there, and that's what's had to yield those other 2 spots there, Reece. So, yeah, we could see why he was a bit frustrated, but now he's going to get the head down and try and get those spots back, because remember, the progressive grids, it's going to matter come the checkered flag, green flag for next time.
Absolutely, it will. Unfortunately, off screen, there was also a moment for Martin Lofthouse. He made a solo error and has fallen down the order, carrying some damage as well. But Shepherd trying to fight his way past Hayden Veld. They almost make contact in the middle of the hairpin. That was a good lunge there from Shep in the number 43, trying to get some points back here. But Veld has the inside line for 7, and he has it. Good stuff. If you're on the outside coming into that corner, discretion is the better part of valor. You pretty much have to give it up, because there's no way you can go side by side through that section.
And he certainly wasn't suffering any PTSD there, because that's exactly where his issues started last lap, and he was ready to throw it down the outside there, but he pulled it up beautifully this time. So it looks like he's got his confidence back. He's got the pace, but it's going to be difficult to recover those spots. You can see Van Treek really slow up the hill there, as he couldn't quite get the power down. Now that gives Hayden Veld a bit of an invite. See Trent Van Treek, he held a little bit tight, and now that gives Veld a little bit of a chance on the main straight. Now here is a replay. We've got Evolution Racing Team and the Simon Mazomo car on the inside. This is Lachlan Capel, I think. Yes, big move, massive move, and commitment and cooperation into that very scary section of racetrack. Well done, Lockie. Now, this battle is still on. Veld was unable to get past on into turn 1, but this is probably going to be his best spot here. He lines up a very good exit, but so does Van Treek, but this is where he's going to have to really lick the stamp. And Dylan will be licking his lips of the prospect here. Here he goes, down the inside, hard on the brakes. Van Treek leaves the door open for Veld. Oh no! And it all just goes horribly wrong at the last moment for Veld, and he gets turned for his troubles. Oh, that's just such a shame for Veld. It was looking so good for a moment there, Reese.
Yeah, he licked the stamp. Unfortunately, there was a bit too much saliva on that one, and he completely lost grip. Shepard did hit him, but Veld was already sliding at that point, so I think Shep will escape penalty. Meanwhile, Sam Sproul in the 606 having some issues there, stopped on track. He'll be requesting a tow from race control because of this. We might see a safety car, and we will have a safety car. So that looks like a huge incident for Sam Sproul. The front end of that car is very dented up, and we'll see how it happened here into turn 1 and into turn 2, actually. Heavy contact with the barriers. Unfortunately, it just looks like he suffered a bit of understeer through 1 and caught the grass on the outside.
Yeah, classic turn 1 accident. It carries on for so long. You actually have the crash at turn 2, but that's clearly ruined the steering of that car. So he's smartly parked it in the sand trap where he won't be of any issue to anyone else. In saying that, that has brought out the safety car, and Matt Bowler, who had over a 2-second gap, is now going to have to do it all over again. But he'd be reassured that it looks like he's got the pace on the field tonight, at least over Benefield, who is in P2. Lachlan Capel looks like he could go with him, but he's going to have to pass Benefield first. He might be pretty grateful for the safety car here. Gives Lachlan another chance to perhaps have a crack at the race win.
Riley Bilson bringing it into the pits and out of the pits, evidently getting some damage repaired there, and no wonder that car still looks quite beat up, unfortunately. Quite a few cars with dents here tonight. Yeah, this restart's going to be interesting because remember, the whole reason Lachlan Capel lost the lead was right at the start. He just got a bit too much wheel spin and the car bogged down on him going off the line. So he doesn't have to worry about that here because restarts behind the safety car are rolling. But there's another element to this. Matt Bowler, once the safety car comes into the pits, can control the restart once he enters the designated zone. So there's potential for him to get a huge jump on the field. Benefield and Capel are teammates, both relative newcomers to Drop Bear Motorsports. Sorry, my apologies. Lachlan Capel, I keep forgetting he's ERT now. So at the very least, Capel will be communicating with Bowler, I believe, to coordinate this restart, but Benefield will be all on his own in second.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to do, keeping a very fast Lachlan Capel behind him. Simon Mazzoma as well will have a lot of work to do with Thomas Hinz, who's up from 8th place, and then you've got Joshua Van Treek with that Pro-Am lead. But we saw Dylan Shepard right behind him, who was on a tear recently. Got the spot on we got the spot over Hayden Veld by virtue of that unfortunate spin that Hayden had. So he's going to want to get on the attack pretty quickly. We know that's Dylan's style. So it's going to be an explosive restart, certainly all the way down to 7th place. Sean Linsell as well, he's got to think about that championship. He doesn't have, we're looking for Corey Lazarus, who's a couple of spots behind him as well. So that's important for his championship, but he's going to want to see if he can put a few more cars in between our Pro-Am Championship leader. But looking at the field ahead of him, that's going to be no mean feat, Reese.
Yeah, he's got quite a stacked field ahead of him as Corey Lazarus. Sebastian Flock, although having dropped positions in that first green flag run, still a very fast driver. He has struggled a bit for consistency, though, hasn't he, Sebastian Flock, this season? So remains to be seen how hard of a time Lazarus will have getting past him. Linsell, meanwhile, well, he's going to be a tough nut to crack for sure.
Yeah, look, Sebastian Flock has certainly got plenty of pace. He did put it on P number 5 on the grid, so the one-lap pace is certainly there. Hasn't had the best of starts, so if he can recover anything, he damn well try. And it's only going to be a short safety car period. We're going green at the end of this lap, so we're on lap number 7, so we'll still have half of this race to go. So it's a good call from race control to be able to wrap that up nice and quickly. So now we've got the field bunching up, Reese, and this should be quite a thrilling restart. We've got a very difficult sequence of corners to start off with first, and of course the hairpin at down the back straight. Yeah,
plenty of places for action around Barber Motorsports Park into the penultimate turn we come. And Matthew Bowler will control the field here off the restart. Benefield is riding his bumper. All of that experience showing there in the 34. Bowler puts the power down, and Benefield immediately moving over to defend from Lachlan Capel. Here we go then into turn 1. Capel tries around the outside of Benefield, and we'll probably be hoping that the 34 gets offline a bit and allows him past. But Capel runs wide himself. That's going to be a late apex for turns 2 and 3. Keeps him ahead of Mazomo for now, but he's lost some valuable ground, and Mazomo has everyone behind him looking to make up places. Thomas Hinz, meanwhile Dylan Shepherd finally gets the move there on Joshua Van Treek. Nice move at the hairpin, and restarts like this are the best place to do that. Sean Linsell, meanwhile, he's got it all to play for. He's managed to move himself ahead of Sebastian Flock, and now into this very challenging sequence of corners. A slight lock-up from Josh Van Treek, but that doesn't give Linsell any advantage.
Yeah, he's got plenty on his plate now, does Josh Van Treek, with the lead of this race for his class right in the balance here. The field was very scattered at the second half of the field, jostling for position, but it looks like it's just about sorted itself out. Amazing dive from Dylan Shepherd that we saw earlier. We were calling it, and he's absolutely pulled it off, and he'll be keen to continue to get a move on. And now Lachlan Capel is now trying to try the outside again on Benefield. Now, it's not going to be a one-and-done style move. He's trying to set up the move over a sequence of corners, lining it up on the outside and having looks here and there. That's what you got to do. But unfortunately for Lachlan, that is, Benefield knows exactly what he's doing and is actually pulling away in certain sections when Lachlan would want to be closing the gap, and now actually looks slightly vulnerable to Simon Mazomo behind him. Look at the exit that Benefield was able to get, and Mazomo as well. He's now actually, Lachlan Capel has pulled away a little bit from the Mez. Now they press under the brakes into their hairpin here. There's Simon Mazomo on screen. He's had a fantastic race and a fantastic season overall, and it's great to see him still doing so well up inside the top 5 as well, and he's holding his own. Thomas Hinz as well, as we saw, he's running for second place in the Pro Championship, but he's got Dylan Shepherd, who is the complete opposite in terms of consistency, and that's not meant to sound as bad as I think it came out as. But Dylan, and he sees exactly what I was thinking. He's actually given the spot to Dylan, who is absolutely wasting no time in trying to get some spots back. Thomas Hinz recognizing the potential threat of losing more spots if he doesn't pick his battles carefully. And there goes Dylan. No, not like this. Not like this, Dylan. It was going so well, and he kisses the Armco there. And what was a great restart, a great second half of his race, has all come undone, and it's such a shame to see, Rick.
You're going to have to send him a card after that, I think, Ross. That was a big commentator's curse there on Dylan Shepherd. As into the pits comes Nick Tamores. Looks to me like we've had our first race control decisions come in. We got a license point penalty for Wayne Burke for contact with Stuart Ellis on lap 1. We did catch that. And then Nick Tamores is serving a black flag for contact with car 014. That's Josh Lane on lap 1. We saw a big incident for Josh Lane pretty much live. Ash Davis also black flagged for contact with Steve Tonkin. We saw Tonkin spun around there, and it was the rejoin that we saw from Ash Davis there. No further action for a couple of other incidents that we saw. Either way, we can get back to these last few laps of this first race. It has absolutely flown by despite the safety car period, and this is looking quite close here between Seb Flock and Sean Linsell at the front of this train. They got Corey Lazarus right on them here. Linsell will be looking over his shoulder here and hoping that Sebastian will be able to keep him behind here. It's all about those positions in the Pro-Am class at this point in the field.
Yeah, what role does Sean play Seb. What role does Seb play in this scenario? Does he play rear gunner? And in fact, there's Simon Mazomo having to defend from... No, he's overtaken Daniel Benefield. So he's dropped a spot here.
So both Lachlan Capel and Simon Mazomo have passed Daniel Benefield there in the opening couple of corners, or actually at the end of the lap. I thought I saw a puff of dust coming out of the final corner, and it seems that Benefield lost the rear. He did manage to recover it, but... 2 cars behind him ended up getting past.
Yeah, and then we go. There we go. There's Lachlan Capel running wide there, and that gives Mazomo a chance at P number 2 here. So here is the replay on screen from Daniel Benefield. He makes the apex just fine, but then the car just slowly starts to rotate. He saves it, but it's too little too late in terms of those positions. He did well to keep the car on the track, but that was easy pickings for Lachlan Capel and Simon Mazomo into turn 1.
Yeah, indeed. Mazomo, getting by a little bit before the first turn here. And, that's what happened to Lachlan Capel there. Very wide through the hairpin. And Mazomo makes his way through. It looks to me like he's still just managing to hold on to it. That's a really good incident avoidance there from Simon Mazomo as the sun sets on this first race of the night. It's coming up to about 10 to 7 p.m. in sim time. Bit of a jump forward in the day for the first race from qualifying. And this battle continuing to go on here for 7th overall. Sean Linsell still holding on to the lead of the Pro-Am class. Josh Van Treek still a little bit up ahead of him, and I think the gap is too big for Linsell to overcome at this point, unless Van Treek makes a mistake. But here's Sebastian Flock going defensive on Corey Lazarus, but the gap opens on the inside, and Lazarus absolutely slams it into turn 5, gets his way past, and Sean Linsell will be starting to sweat here.
Oh, that was beautifully done from Corey Lazarus. You can see how he was much more confident than Seb ahead of him, and he's absolutely right onto the back straight away of Sean Linsell. He's got loads of pace here to burn Reese. Just time might beat him here, but if he can pull off committed moves like that, this is going to be a thrilling finish for him, for our Pro-Am spoils here. And you can see now again, he's under attack is Seb Flock again from the 95 Sin Sports car behind him, but does manage to fend off that attack. But the rear gunner that I think Flock wanted is now gone.
Indeed. Well, we're going to have another replay here of Stefan Lawrence, who's leading the AM class. Something evidently happened to him here in the final corner. Is it similar to what happened to Benefield? Yeah, actually it is. It seems quite a few drivers, at least 2 of them, are having troubles with that final corner. And it is a very difficult corner, Ross. Both you and I have had quite a bit of experience with that turn as we see another view of the pass that Corey Lazarus made on Sebastian Flock. Really beautifully executed move. But yeah, the last corner here, it could be an issue as Lazarus has made his way past Linsell. We would have just caught a whisper of it in the background of shot here, but Lazarus again with the big dive at turn 5, evidently very confident on the brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. We called it earlier, and now Lachlan Capel has managed to get past the Mez here, so back up into P2 for our pole sitter, and Daniel Benefield does smell blood in the water. This would be a good opportunity for him here. Here's this pass from Corey Lazarus. It's a copy-paste from the last one. Not quite as much of a defensive line from Linsell, but Corey gets it done absolutely beautifully, and marching forward as he has the last couple of laps. Now, that, but has left Bowler off the hook, and I think Mazomo starting to get his hands full here with Daniel Benefield. Benefield has one more lap to see if he can size up a move here, Reece.
Yep, just one more lap, and the white flag flies for this field. Another quick replay before we call the last lap of Tyson Broad here. In the very difficult section of the circuit, that's almost similar to what happened to Shepard, and it looks like he suffered some technical issues in the midst of that as well. That's a shame there for Tyson Broad. But now the challenge is on here for Daniel Benefield to see if he can get back past Simon Mazomo. Thomas Hinz is rapidly chasing these guys in P5, and the number 52 keeping his eye in here. Van Treek is holding on to the Pro-Am class lead, and it looks like he might keep it unless there's a mistake in these final couple of corners. Speaking of mistakes, there was one for Mazomo at turn 7A. He does defend it from Daniel Benefield coming through the fast left-right flick. but Benefield will try and find a way past here. Mazomo having to take the defensive line. He's slightly compromised, but he's managed to hold him off just for the time being. One more chance for a dive here at the final corner, but Mazomo keeps it glued to the inside line, and Thomas Hinds cannot get past Daniel Benefield. Race is finished, and it's going to be checkered flag here for Matthew Bowler. Started on the front row, takes the first win of the night at Barber. That was an impressive drive, to say the least, from the number 12.
I want to have a look at Rick Kuznetsov last 2 laps. Remember, we called him out earlier. 30th on the grid. He's finished P8 and ahead of the two Evolution Racing Team duo that we saw battling before. Oh, look at this as they steam towards the final, the checkered flag here. It looked like there was a bit of commotion, and here another drag race to the line. And the JWM Motorsports gets the spot right at the line there. So we might have to see what happened at this last corner. It was causing a fair bit of grief for drivers, including our race winner, who decided to have a little bit of a joyride on the grass there, Reed.
Indeed. Ryan Jones still coming to the line here. And oh, yeah, there we go. The celebrations begin for Matthew Bowler, though a little bit forced. Yeah, I just saw those last 2 corners of the penultimate lap for Rick Kuznetsov. That was pretty good there. Managed to get past both Linsell and Flock. But here are your results then. Bowler, Capel and Mazomo are your podium, with Benefield finishing in 4th. Hinds completes the top 5. Van Treek wins Pro-Am with Corey Lazarus in 2nd. Linsell 3rd behind Rick Kuznetsov, who had a massive run through the field, up from 30th to 8th. And Sebastian Flock will round out the top 10 in the end.
What a battle those guys had. Incredible that Rick managed to get them both there. Then we've got an 11th place Wes Edwards and Hayden Feld, who'd recovered extremely well after that spin at the hairpin. P number 12 for him. Wade Sheedy 13th, Riley Bilson in 14th. Then we got Alan Dawson, Gordon Ramsay, Ben Johnson, and now our AM winner, Stefan Lawrence. A fantastic victory ahead of Josh Lane, and Steve Tonkin, who found themselves in trouble very early on. But a nice little recovery there for those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyson Broad finishes in 21st position after starting 13th. He won't be too happy with how that turned out for him. Kyle Zink, though, gaining 2 spots. Nick Tamores up 3. Ryan Jones losing 4 spots to finish in 24th place. Dylan Shepherd, well, unfortunate for him with that contact with the wall and catching the grass, has to settle for 25th, with Ash Davis and Martin Lofthouse the last drivers to take the checkered flag here. Sproul, Burke and Ellis all retiring from this one. They'll be hoping for a bit of redemption in races 2 and 3. Before we get into the action here, we've heard that there is a 10-second time penalty for Hayden Veld making contact with this car, Gordon Ramsay. And this was coming into the final corner of the lap. Veld, yeah, looked like he could have an attempt there, but unfortunately he wasn't far up enough to really get the move done, and that's one of the things that we saw at the end of that race. Gordon Ramsay losing what looked like 5 or 6 positions on the run to the line as a result of that. No wonder race control has gotten that sorted there. Well, either way, it's time now for a little bit of a breather, Ross, because race 2 is coming up and drivers will be starting in the exact same positions that they finished in race 1. It's been a good night so far. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do from here.
Yeah, certainly the likes of Rick Kuznetsov, who's now going to start in the top 10 and show off his real pace. And now Bowler will be able to start from pole position against the pole sitter and teammate Lachlan Capel, see what he can do from there.
Yeah, Capel has something to sort out, though, from the start of race 1. Remember, he did bog down and ultimately lost the race as soon as it started. So here's a second chance for him to see if he's got the run off the line executed properly. A lot of drivers will have their wheels and controls set up to do a sort of double clutch arrangement, depending on the wheel that they have. Making sure that they get the optimum run off the line. Some drivers, though, don't have that luxury. We don't know what gear Lachlan Capel is running with, but evidently start's not his strong suit in this thing.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen him too much this season, and being a GT driver, he's more used to rolling starts anyway, so not overly surprised it didn't go swimmingly, but disappointed it went as badly as it did. So hopefully he got a chance to get a little bit of practice in, to actually get a little bit of a better conversion this time, should Lockie.
Well then, drivers gradually file onto the grid. Bit of an extended break here for the race to get away. Plenty of good stories to come out of tonight's racing, with a minute remaining on the clock before we can get the green flag for race 2. No pit stops, of course, so there will be results decided purely by on-track action. And Mizomo, Benefield, Capel is one of those battles that I loved, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from here.
Oh, certainly, and that Pro-Am battle was very spicy as well. Josh Van Treek ultimately winning that in race 1, but he's got his nemesis in Corey Lazarus right alongside him for the grid. Then he's got Rick Kuznetsov behind him, and then we had the battling duo of the ERT boys of Linsell and Flock, and I loved that battle race. I think that was certainly my highlight. They were all over the place. It was great to watch. It was all clean as well, so that's what we really want to see. There was a lot of chaos as well in that race, but where the battling was nice and clean and fair, you really do need to leave that extra little bit of room at a track like this, Reese.
Yeah, you do. It is a very tight and twisty circuit here at Barber Motorsports Park, and we're going to be seeing 30 cars take to the start once again here as the revs start to rise here. A symphony of flat 6 power putting rubber down in virtual Alabama. Away we go, and it looks like this time it's Bowler's turn to absolutely screw the start. But look at that, what a run it is from Daniel Benefield round the outside. There's a crash in the background. Who was that? It might have been Bowler, who's taken to the gravel trap. It is. So right from hero to zero for the number 12.
My goodness, and the way the fortunes change, and it's on for the lead into the hairpin as well. Benefield defends from Capel. Mizomo gets the nose in alongside Capel. That gives him a run. He might have a run for the race lead. Well, they're going to be side by side into turn 7 coming right up. But look at the way they've gapped the rest of the field. That's all the commotion that's caused. You can see the spread out here. Now back into single file they go. Not too many troubles there, and Thomas Hin's actually making a lot of ground in that corner as well. So suddenly we've got a 4-way fight for the lead, Rick.
This is fantastic. Well, not so fantastic for Bowler, as it was almost 3 wide between Lazarus, Van Treek and Bilson in the background here. Mizomo starting to lose ground to the leaders now, but once he gets into a rhythm, Mizomo is incredibly quick. So we'll see what he can do, especially if Capel and Benefield start to battle. You can lose a lot of time running side by side here.
So do they do a little bit of cooperation to try and stretch away from the rest of the field? I don't think they have that luxury. The guys behind are pretty quick. Hinzy's really keen to get a move on here, as is Mizomo. You see the gap they've left over Corey Lazarus for the Pro-Am lead. He's gotten over Josh Van Treek. And look at this. The car's off the road. That is an Evolution Racing Team car that's kissed the Armco halfway down the street. No, it is not an Evolution Racing Team car. But they're still holding on to it. Stefan Lawrence, our AM winner from race 1, has somehow managed to keep that out of the rest of the field while keeping the boot in it. Quite impressive, but that has not helped his race prospects at all, Reed.
Oh, it has not. Dylan Shepherd hasn't gained too much either. Here he is with Bowler right on the back of him. Both of these drivers wanting to recover something. Shepherd carrying the wounds from race 1. Bowler from just a lap ago. And they have got a huge amount of cars ahead of them to try and make their way past. Well, while we see that happen, unfortunately, there's been another problem for Martin Lofthouse, and, well, he managed to get a good run there on the 21 of Nick Tamores, but, oh, goodness, that was just some needless contact, unfortunately, and he had a further spin, and, oh, dear, this is live. Riley Bilson having a big issue, and, oh, I've just seen a drop bear car massively in the wall. Ben Johnson. Oh, it's all going off here in race 2.
Oh,
and Benefield.
Another bit. Benefield spun at the final corner as well. He's going to have a difficult join here. He just about gets away with it. But that's one of our main protagonists. And Capel spun. Capel's lost it on the main straight as well. So
what is going on? What is going on here? I have no words. Simon Mazomo leads here at Barber. Rick Kuznetsov with the fastest lap. We've got quite a bit to dissect here, Ross. It actually looks like there was contact between Benefield and Capel.
So that would have been brewing for a while because they had their accidents at quite different parts of that corner there. So, there might be a bit of brewing here. Look at this. They're 3 wide into the hairpin. Look at the car squirm under the brakes. Does he miss him? He just about does. Pulls it up beautifully. Does the 958, but the JWN car on the inside is still squirming, is the racecraft car, but he'll get that spot. They will get that spot done. Oh, almost. No, we're going into turn 7A and B. Side by side. He's left the space there, and there's a puff of smoke ahead. It's still going on, Reese. Yep, there is a car off the road, and that is Gordon Ramsay. He will just about recover. Ooh, not without a very, very close incident there.
Yeah, I think that was Bowler making his way past there. Oh, goodness. All right. It's replay time, and this could be controversial when we get to the incidents for the race lead. So here's what happened to Riley Bilson. Just locking up on the way into 7A and B into turn 8, and then, the big spin for the ERT car of Sebastian Flock. Riot Sim Racing car getting into him, and here's what happened for the lead. I think we should stay on Lachlan Capel for this because this is going to be significant. So Capel gets a good run on Daniel Benefield and tries to go up the inside into the final corner, but he's too deep and spins Benefield around. Then Simon Mazomo sees his chance and tries to go up the inside for the final corner, but spins Capel.
So I don't think Lachlan was actually attempting... Oh, geez, that was close with Lazarus. I don't think he was actually attempting a pass there with Benefield. It didn't look like there was really any room there. And then kind of got caught napping a little bit with Mazomo. And we saw that play out at the end of last race, and it obviously ended poorly for the likes of Feld and Ramsey, I think it was. So it's a rinse repeat of that. So 2 races coming undone very, very quickly. And just bit of a clumsy accident, unfortunately. But now we've got a very intense 3-way battle for the lead between Mazomo, Kuznetsov, now battling for the race lead, can you believe it? And then Hinsey, who's been the quiet achiever all night, in fact, all season. He senses a podium here with a fairly sizable gap back to Joshua Van Treek, who's still our Pro-Am leader.
Yeah, and considering the incident between Mazomo and Capel, Hins and Kuznetsov might be battling for the lead soon, depending on what the decision is, as Wes Edwards comes in to serve a penalty. That was for contact with the number 12 of Matt Bowler on lap 1. That's what put Bowler off the circuit, just adding to the woes from his poor getaway from the line. Meanwhile, the 9-5 teammates, Mazomo and Kuznetsov, evidently no team orders at 9-5 Sim Sports because Mazomo is defending for his life here.
Well, they're battling for the race win here, so absolutely have at it. And I'm not sure how comfortable Rick is in these cars, at least from the pace-wise. He absolutely looks fine. Racecraft would also suggest it's fine because he's passed the entire field, literally the entire field, that in some one way or another coming from the back of the grid. He's got one more car to go, but he's going to be a tough one to crack. Here we go, the 82 of Steve Tonkin, a rare mistake from our AM Championship leader. It's not gone his way at all tonight, but he'll have plenty more to fight for in race 3. Yeah, so this battle's still brewing. Rick looks quite comfortable, but not quite close enough for a move. So this is where it's going to get very difficult, Reese, because it is difficult to line up these spots. And for Sebastian Flock, the woes continue, and it's at that wild corner that we've been talking about with that a couple of drivers have come undone already, but that's probably one of the biggest hits we've seen into that wall tonight, Rick.
Yeah, that ERT car is not looking good. Meanwhile, the battling continues as we check out what happened here to Steve Tonkin. Unfortunately, just losing it by himself on the exit of turn 5. Gordon Ramsay moving on past. Daniel Benefield with the fastest lap of the race so far. He's fallen back to P5 after that touch from Lachlan Capel, but he is wasting no time trying to get himself towards the front of the grid again. Unfortunately, I think that's Ryan Jones we're going to see come into view there. Yes, indeed. Well, Jones with a run into turn 1 there, potentially with Matthew Bowler, because we also saw Bowler dropping down the timesheets as well. But the leaders are jetting away from the rest of this field. Oh dear, okay, so Jones has a spin, Bowler has nowhere to go through turn 1.
I was going to say Jones has done a great job of avoiding contact with the car in front, but then unfortunately nobody go, oh, look at this, it's all kicking off, and that's Matt Bowler involved in this as well. Dylan Shepherd as well, the highlight reel has absolutely exploded tonight, Reese, and that, I think that might be the end of Bowler's race here, and he's going to have to probably do it from the back unless there's another safety car at some point for race number 3, and that's not what the Pulsar wanted at all. It's gone from when it rains, it pours for Matt Bowler, unfortunately.
Wow. I mean, how are we even going to pick a round winner from this, considering how jumbled the results have been in just 2 of our 3 races so far. Lachlan Capel, meanwhile, takes fastest lap away from Daniel Benefield. Capel is back in 10th at the moment. Benefield in 7th overall. So still plenty to be decided here, and we keep our eye on this on this top 3 battle, but the pack behind with Benefield is looking quite interesting, or at least it was. Capel and Broad changing spots, and Capel will get a bit of help there and move himself 1 position up as he tries to chase down Benefield. Replay, meanwhile, of another incident here. Car number 31. Oh boy, that is Wesley Edwards, who might have another penalty coming for him there.
Yeah, and that move not looking like it was on it really at any point. Difficult to pull up a move at any point. We're talking about who could be a race winner, a round winner. I'm tipping this guy on screen. He's been staying out of trouble and doing a magnificent job of it. And it looks like he's a lot racier in this stage of the race, and certainly towards than he was at the end of race 1. He's certainly keeping the blowtorch on Rick, who hasn't really applied hasn't been able to consistently apply the pressure like we thought to Mazomo. Mazomo is holding on here. He could be in with a really good shot to try and convert here, unless Kuznetsov or Hinsey have a little bit more in the bag. But Simon doing a magnificent job to potentially pick up a win here and certainly give his claim for a potential round win.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a 10-second time penalty for car 03, and that is Wade Sheedy for the contact with Simon Mazomo. We've also seen that Lachlan Capel has been given a black flag for that contact we saw with Daniel Benefield. Now, remember, there was a second part to that incident where Mazomo made contact with Capel at the final turn. We'll see if race control comes to a decision on that sooner rather than later as the battling goes on in this section of the field. Steve Tonkin holding on to 3rd in the AM class and really facing a big challenge from Ryan Jones. This is basically a parade of drivers who have had their races negatively affected so far. So Jones behind, we got Bilson and Shepherd at the front of this train here, and they are fighting for 18th.
And it looks like Lachlan Capel's just lost a spot as well. Oh, and there's a big spin there for Kyle Zink. We just had Steve Tonkin on screen. I was about to call out the number of cars between our M leader. There is Lachlan Capel. Story so far tonight. Oh, he's kissed the wall there. It looks like the car's not in particularly good shape right now. This battle for the lead still brewing. But interrupting what I was talking about with the AM class, there's a lot of cars in between P1 and what was Steve Tonkin down. I think it was P3. It's now P2. And he's lost another position. So Steve Tonkin, who's been punching above his weight all season, he's going to lose a fair chunk of points to Josh Lane here unless he can get a wiggle on.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Matt Bowler with another off, and Bilson. That was my reaction. Bilson having a big spin out of turn 2, and some good avoidance from Ryan Jones to follow the racing line but stay out of the way, and a very close call indeed for Steve Tonkin, with Josh Van Treek and Sean Linsell fighting for the Pro-Am class lead. Battle is a bit closer than it was in race 1.
Yeah, and this is kind of the risk that some of these guys that are out of position are facing. We've seen Matt Bowler and Dylan Shepherd face the wrath of trying to navigate their way back through the field. It was when drivers get it slightly wrong, which is very easy to do here. There's not much room for error and not many places to go to avoid incidents. So they unfortunately get caught up in other drivers' crashes. We're looking backwards here towards Sean Linsell, who he's been getting comfortably gapped right here. So Sean, who had some good pace and some excellent racecraft in the previous race, he's got it all to do with Hayden Veld and the drop air car behind him as well.
He has indeed. This is a very close fight, and they've only got a few laps left to sort it out. Van Treek just going for that slow in, fast out strategy here to get the good exit. And I'm looking at the race control feed. It looks like Simon Mazzomo has been given a 10-second time penalty for that contact with Lachlan Capel. So he may very well be in the lead of this race, but he will not be classified there. The battle for the effective race lead is now between Rick Kuznetsov and Thomas Hinz, and it's looking close as, oh man, Matthew Bowler. It just doesn't stop for him, does it? It's just been off-track excursion after off-track excursion. And there's been so much going on here, Ross. We barely had time to process many of the incidents that have happened here.
Yeah, we'll try our best to cover everything. There's only so much we can do. And yeah, so that penalty from Mazzomo does put Kuznetsov in the net race lead from the back of the grid. We've called it out a few times, but that is a remarkable recovery. Now, if we look at where 10 seconds would drop Mazzomo, it drops him down to P7 behind Daniel Benefield, who has a penalty of his own still, I think, doesn't he? No, Lachlan was called. No, it was not a penalty. Lachlan was deemed at fault for that one, and we have seen him serve his penalty. So we're going to see a lot of wounded cars in race number 3 because there are going to be some cars out of position, Reese, thanks to the progressive grid. And look at this battle start to heat up again. Linsell's found his mojo and has started to close back on Joshua Van Treek, who's looked comfortable so far this race. But now, as it enters its closing stages, has he got enough in the tank to wrap up another Pro-Am victory? And just need to call out, that is outright P number 3, an outright podium once Simon serves his 10-second penalty. That is an enormous result.
Yeah, enormous result indeed. Only 4 laps to go here. And this will be a very fun one. It's looking to me like, a bit of controversy for Corey Lazarus. He was involved in an incident on the 3rd lap and evidently escaped without permission. Did get back onto the racetrack and unfortunately race control deeming, of course, that he can't make it to the finish from that. I'm going back and seeing here. Yes. All right. So a good replay. Let's change our tack here a little bit. So Tyson Broad making an overtake here in the Pro-Am class. That looked very nicely done indeed. Around the outside of turn 1, you don't often see that.
And it was set up from the corner before. That's caused so much grief lately with Wade Sheedy running onto the grass. It made it relatively easy pickings, but he still had to work for it despite the off into turn 1. As such is the commitment required heading into T1. Now, that Corey Lazarus issue is a big story. He's our Pro-Am Championship leader, and if he gets a big fat 0 in this one, that suddenly puts a big microscope on Sean Linsell's race and Tyson Broad, who are definitely well within with a chance now to potentially snatch that lead back off him. So it's all to play for here, and with them so high up the order as well in 5th and 8th, well, it's going to be 4th and 7th respectively. That championship is not looking anywhere near as safe as Corey would like, and having to start from the back in race number 3, my goodness, this Pro-Am championship has gotten spicy right at the right end of the championship, hasn't it, Reece?
Oh, absolutely it has. And we do love things getting spicy right towards the end. This is the battle for the effective race lead here, with Simon Mazzomo still jetting away at the front of the field, trying to get as much of a gap as possible before his 10-second time penalty is instated. So Thomas Hinz has it all to play for here. He's racing for a win here versus Rick Kuznetsov. This is looking fantastic, and they're going to be getting the white flag this time by. And they're looking stable on the way through this final sector. Stability, of course, the name of the game here at Barber. Kuznetsov a little tight on the way into the penultimate corner, but you can gear that up for a good run out of the last turn here as the white flag flies. Kuznetsov defensive versus Hinz. Coming into turn one, manages to keep the position and avoids getting into the grass. Hinzy diving at every opportunity. He's going to try and gear up for a late apex straight line run out of this next corner. Will he have it, have enough in the tank to pull a move at turn 5 here? Kuznetsov leaves the door open but stays middle of the road, forced Hinz to back off there. There's not going to be much of a passing opportunity down here coming into turn 7. But let's see if the exit is with Rick Kuznetsov here. Managed to gain a bit on Hinzy. They ride the curbs very nicely. The battle is still going on between Josh Van Treek and everyone behind. Linsell, Veld and Benefield all coming into the downhill chicane. And I don't think there's much of a chance of a move until the final couple of corners here. Kuznetsov has the gap over Thomas Hinz now. And it's all to play for with Hayden Veld trying to get past Sean Linsell here. He doesn't have enough. He's not able to get alongside as the penultimate corner approaches for our top 3. So Simon Mazzomo is going to cross the line in first place. But with the 10-second time penalty, Rick Kuznetsov will be the winner of race 2 here, with Thomas Hinz a very strong second.
And this battle we've been keeping an eye on, they're teetering very close to the 10-second gap. They need to leapfrog Simon Mazzomo. And with them battling, has that compromised them? No, they all managed to squeak in. 9.3 seconds was Daniel Benefield behind our race winner, Simon Mazzomo, who will drop down into P number 7. Tyson Broad home in 8th place. Wade Sheedy in 9th. And Josh Lane, fantastic AM victory into P10 outright.
Yeah, that's fantastic there for Josh Lane. It's going to be massive points because remember, every class is scored on their overall finishing position. Post-race drive-through, meanwhile, for Wes Edwards. That's for the contact with Stefan Lawrence on lap 7. And last few cars coming to the finish here. An awful lot of smoke, an awful lot of debris around Barber Motorsports Park here. And that will be the last few cars across the line. So the 01 will celebrate a little bit. It was a very well-driven race from Mazzomo, all things considered. Were it not for that incident with Lachlan Capel, that would be definitely something to celebrate. But we'll go through our race results then. Mazzomo, of course, crossing the line in first, but will be classified 7th in the end. Behind him finished Kuznetsov, Hinz, Van Treek, Linsell, Veld and Benefield, with Tyson Broad, Wade Sheedy and Josh Lane rounding out the top 10. Again, fantastic finish from the 014.
11th place goes to Lachlan Capel, who will have a story to tell after that one and will be incredible to watch in race number 3. In 12th place, Nick Tamores, and then we've got Alan Dawson, Sam Sproul, Stuart Ellis. The recovering Dylan Shepherd probably didn't quite get as far up the field as he would have liked. He's got one more bite of the cherry, though, in just a few minutes' time. Brian Jones had plenty of excursions as well, followed by Riley Bilson, also some tales of woe. Steve Tonkin had a big chunk of his AM championship lead taken out just in this race, so he will want to get a good recovery drive on here. And then Wes Edwards in P number 20.
21st was Ash Davis with a penalty. Stefan Lawrence, meanwhile, coming home in 22nd, and Benjamin Johnson, last car to finish on the lead lap. Zink, Lofthouse and Ramsey all coming home a lap down, with Bowler, Lazarus and Flock unfortunately retiring. Wayne Burke not taking to the start. And a couple of big names there going to be starting at the back here in the third and final race of the night, which is coming up in just a few moments here on SimSpeed TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
You're watching SimSpeed TV. This is round 7 of season 7 of the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Bowler Media. Well, what a night of racing we've had so far. This has been nothing short of chaotic. Reese Gardner and Ross Rizzo with you here with Jay Kennedy behind the scenes handling production. Ross, we've gotten a bit of big news coming out of that race 2 finish. Simon Mazzomo was given a 10-second time penalty by race control for an incident with Lachlan Capel at the final corner, and that would have lost him the race win. But he's appealing it, so that means it's going to go post-race.
Yeah, and that'll be an interesting discussion, I believe, behind closed doors, and I'd love to know the end result. We're seeing basically that that final corner. We've seen a number of incidents there where it feels like it's going to be a no-go zone for the rest of the evening. We've seen 2 big incidents there that started with, a genuine overtake, a genuine, look for a position. But I think in and of itself, it's not really a passing opportunity. You might be able to use it to finish a move or start a move, but not be the move itself verbatim, if that makes sense. And that's where we saw Simon make contact with Lockie, and also saw the incident in race 1 very similarly executed, where the car was well alongside, but it's just difficult to feed 2 cars through their race. It's just really difficult to do in most corners of this track, and that last corner causing some high profile contact.
Yeah, well, let's see if there's any more of it in this race, which is going to have Simon Mazzomo starting on pole position alongside his 9.5 SimSports teammate Rick Kuznetsov. Thomas Hins and Joshua Van Treek will start on the second row. It's been a great performance from Van Treek tonight, with Sean Linsell also doing well alongside Hayden Veld to round out the top 6. Daniel Benefield and Tyson Broad will be looking to recover a few positions in this race, with Wade Sheedy and Josh Lane rounding out the top 10.
Then we go to race 1 pole sitter, Lachlan Capel. He'll be keen to get as high up the field as he can. Then Nick Tomorrows has had a good night in starting out of P number 12. Then we've got Alan Dawson in 13th and Sam Sproul out of P number 14. Next, we've got Stuart Ellis and Dylan Shepherd, who's been a highlight reel all night so far. Then Ryan Jones has had a lot of excursions out of P number 17. Riley Bilson in 18th. Steve Tonkin, our AM championship leader, out of 19th. And then
And then we get our race start. That was a bit shorter than we expected, but away we go. Mazomo, again, that's the third race in a row that the driver starting on pole has lost the lead. Kuznetsov in the lead, and there's a rollover in the back of the field. Oh dear, that's no good. It looks like Riley Bilson managing to get going though. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, that's a bad place for a spin to happen. Daniel Benefield. Oh, the driver that had done so well so far tonight! Oh my god! Bowler! Matthew Bowler! The drivers who should be up the front here have absolutely dropped the ball in race 3.
Oh, it's chaos from the get-go. Rollover at the start, and Bowler's night goes from bad to worse already. But these guys have kicked off right where they left off. It's nice and close at the front. Clean as well with these guys. They've evenly matched for pace. They've got themselves sorted. But in the middle of the pack, where we saw some recovering drivers, a little bit of nonsense can occur pretty quickly here at Barber. There's a move there in the back. I think that's Lachlan Capel. That's Corey Lazarus.
Oh, no.
That's a big emerging story here. Corey Lazarus, who's had a fantastic evening. Actually, no, it's not been a great evening. Race 2 was awful for him. That's a big dent in his championship hopes for the Pro-Am.
Okay, so Ryan Jones bogs down off the start here, and where does Bilson come into this? Like that. Oh, goodness. So it was Jones that was the one rolling over. Managed to stick the landing, though, and is continuing. But now we have a similar situation to race 2, sorry. It is a 9.5 car versus Thomas Hinz, but this time it is Simon Mazomo in the hot seat. Already on the second lap, and we've had a whole race's worth of incidents. Good defense from Mazomo, though. Coming into turn 5, he will keep the position. Here's what happened to Matthew Bowler, meanwhile. He had to take... No, that's the number 8 there. Josh Lane, meanwhile, with some very... interesting performances there. Ended up getting a mechanical black flag, did Josh Lane, and that's a massive turnaround from taking the AM Class win last race.
And the woes continue for Riley Bilson. Just what a night he's had so far. This will be a night to forget for quite a number of drivers, but it's a very memorable night for a lot of the right reasons. Here we go. The car spun up in front. Oh my goodness, the racecraft cars having issues of their own in sympathy with each other there, just coming a cropper with the difficulties of this car and track. And that was causing Corey Lazarus, who's also having to fight his way back through the field. Now, Kuznetsov did have a bit of a gap a few moments ago. That's gone. So Mazomo's recovered, and he's bringing Hinzi along with him here. I thought Kuznetsov was going to fly off into the distance while Mazomo was going to be busy with Hinzi. Lachlan Capel fires in the fastest lap of the race. So there is going to be a great congestion here. Look, here we go. They're first down to 7th place. This will be very spicy here. And that's actually Hayden Feld who's recovered as well into P number 6. And we've got our Pro-Am leaders in 4th and 5th in Linsell and Van Treek. Now, again, under the brakes, we see Hinzi start to close in again from Mazomo. So Kuznetsov again starting to edge that gap out. So I'm wondering if there was just a mistake early on from our race leader.
There absolutely was. I went back and took a look at it on my end. On lap 1, through the fast left-right flick on the back stretch, Kuznetsov had a big near spin. He did manage to recover it, though. Gordon Ramsay with a bit of an off-track excursion there, with Martin Lofthouse now finding himself in the 3rd place in the AM class. But that looks like a bit of a crumpled rear end, which is not optimal in these cars because that's where the engine is.
Yeah, certainly. A bit of an issue with it's the rear end contact that we've seen with that car so far. And here comes Hinzi again. So Mazomo sort of, I think, starting to struggle a little bit to get his car into the optimum window. Now, he had no problem with pace towards the end of race number 2. So is this him biding his time? This is potentially the Bo Albert strategy we saw in Breath, where the tyres were fading quite quickly and Bo was really quick towards the end of the race. Is this what Simon has been trying to do so far this evening? With track position at a track that's difficult to pass, that's a pretty smart move. But he's going to probably let Rick get away here. Here comes Lachlan Capel, ranging up on Hayden Veld, who just lets him have it. Does not want a bar of that battle. So Lachlan Capel gets an easy pass done here and can start to continue his march forward. He's got the Pro-Am leaders ahead of him. How quickly can he dispatch of them and fire up to our pro podium?
That is the question as we check out Stuart Ellis in the number 73 and Steve Tonkin side by side for the for Pro-Am and Am. This is interesting. Oh, almost off track there for Stuart Ellis. Tonkin manages to keep himself in the fight here, and well, just clearing him is Ellis. Gets up to 6th place in Pro-Am. It's been a difficult night for both of those drivers, both having big issues in the second race. They might be able to recover something from here. Tonkin managing to work himself into 12th place. Stuart Ellis up into 11th. Both of them have gained a few positions from where they started thanks to the issues that many drivers have been facing here.
Yes, and Tonkin will be relieved that a little bit of that recovery from here. Here we go, a little bit of side-by-side through that dreaded final corner, but they weren't quite keen to force the issue there. Daniel Benefield clearly got some pace at the moment. But here we go, car off the road, the number 82 there, and that is the AM leader of Tonkin. And off the road goes the right Sim Sports car of Alan Dawson, just getting out in the marbles and just can't do anything about that and drops loads of positions for his troubles. The last of which, Dylan Shepherd, who he needs to continue his charge forward race.
Yeah, he certainly does. On board here with Ryan Jones, who's recovered from his big panic moment at the very start of the race. There's quite a bit of damage to that number 11, but he still holds on to 9th in Pro-Am. He's got quite the battle behind him, though. The likes of Dylan Shepherd there trying to chase him down, and Shepherd has a much cleaner looking car. Meanwhile, back to the front of the field, Kuznetsov, Mazomo and Hins still fighting away here, but maybe just biding their time. They're going to have to keep an eye out for Linsell, Van Treek, Capel and Veld behind. And speaking of Veld, well, he was the driver involved in the incident that put Daniel Benefield back in the field. Interestingly, Race Control have ruled that incident as no further action. Probably just lap 1 racing incident there.
Yeah, that was a scary moment, and well done to the field for being able to avoid most of that. Now, we're looking back towards Josh Van Treek, and he's got the ever-present Lockie Capel. Is he fainting to the right here for a move down on the left? No, not quite. But that will come in due course. But this little bunch here of cars are going to provide a little bit of slipstream to each other. It's not much, but it might help just that little bit. That'll make it all the more difficult for Capel to make his way past these guys. So there's still time on the board here, but that time will quickly evaporate. The longer he stays behind these cars, the less chance he's going to have to get onto the podium where he arguably belongs, where his pace has deserved him to be. So how does Lockie play the rest of this one?
Yeah, he has to try and count on a mistake, I think, or from a bit of side-by-side running between Linsell and Van Treek. We're going to have a replay on board at the start with Hayden Veld, and we'll see what happened between him and Benefield. Well, Benefield to the left there, and oh, okay. So seems like Veld was just trying to. Oh, okay. Righto, I see. So Benefield was tapped wide by Veld a little bit, but you could argue that he was trying to take some avoiding action there. And ultimately, it seems Benefield just lost it by himself on the marbles. Speaking of losing it, Van Treek to the back of the train now. He has lost quite a bit of time to Sean Linsell there. Doesn't look like there was contact involved. He just braked a bit too late and ran wide through turn 1, which is disastrous at this track. Thomas Hins, meanwhile, up the inside of Simon Mazomo at turn 5, and he gets the move done.
Fantastic move from Hinsey and good cooperation there from Mazomo, but I don't think he's quite done here yet. He has to keep the pressure on. He has no choice. He's got to keep the pressure on Hinsey to see if he can fire it back at him and get that spot back. The field compresses once again with Sean Linsell now closing up again behind Mazomo. So the battle for the podium continues while Rick Kuznetsov is starting to break away and show off that pace that we've seen all night. He's leading the race after starting the evening from the back of the grid, and he's showing what he's made of in these cars tonight, Reese. Now here we go. Lachlan Capel behind his teammate of Sean Linsell. Do they play friendly teammates here? Does he make it easy for Lockie to try and get through? Sean's got his own championship and race to worry about, so it's probably in their best interest not to pick a fight with each other and see how they can work together and maximize their opportunities tonight, Reese.
Yeah, and the issue is, this track being how it is, you run side by side through a corner, even if it's just to let a teammate by as cleanly as possible, that's going to bring the drivers behind right into the thick of it, and Hayden Veld is monstering at the back of these two. They also have to still worry about Van Treek. Yes, he did have a slight off, but he's still within striking distance of these guys with just under half race distance to go. Penalties coming in from race control. Meanwhile, that's Dylan Shepherd, who's gotten a penalty for contact with Wade Sheedy on lap 1. And, well, that was one of many incidents that we saw further back in the field. 5-second time penalty given to the 103 of Gordon Ramsay. That's for failing to leave racing room with the 34 of Daniel Benefield. I think that might have been a knock-on effect of Benefield spinning to the back of the field on lap 1.
So wait, so he was the one who barely avoided him at the end. There was a car that collected him on the side, but I'm a little confused about that actually. But
I'm going
anyway,
back to check.
But yes, pressing on. Lockie's still having to fight for this position with Linsell. Now Linsell is holding on to Mizomo pretty well, but if that gap starts to grow, then Lockie's going to start getting impatient, and that's when they're going to have to start getting creative and cooperative about how they're going to resolve this issue. Sean holds a very strong spot in the championship. Lockie's making just a kind of an ad hoc appearance here. So are they prioritising perhaps the Sean's championship here? Remember, our championship leader in Pro-Am, Corey Lazarus, has had a nightmare after race 1 went so well. Race 2 and race 3, he's going to want to forget them in a hurry. His championship lead getting absolutely slashed this evening. Sean wants to capitalise. Tyson Broad also in that fight in P number 8. He's not in this shot at all. We're still waiting. There he is, going in just there. So he's in a comfortable P number 8 outright. That'll also help his championship with no one else around him. That might really be useful come the end of the night.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, the whole thing with Corey Lazarus and the issues that he suffered tonight, that will certainly be something he'll look back on come season's end, considering this Pro-Am Championship, no matter how it turns out. We have found the incident that got Gordon Ramsay that 5-second time penalty. It was on the exit of turn 8. That's just after the downhill chicane. Ramsay did get bumped a bit wide, I think, and had to avoid Lazarus, but you see on the exit here, he moves to the right and makes contact with Benefield that sends him off the track. So that wasn't the only drama that Benefield suffered on lap 1.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. And Benefield, whose night started so well, it's just gone so terribly since. He's had great pace. In fact, he holds the fastest lap of the race in 11th place. He's on the back of Wade Sheedy, a long way back from here. And then Tonkin, the AM Championship leader, has had another nightmare of a spin. He was looking pretty comfortable a moment ago in our AM lead. Stefan Lawrence now takes the AM lead, and that is the position change that we've been waiting for. Lachlan Capel now ahead of Sean Linsell. Here's the shackles when we released of car number 8 to go for a podium. Here's a replay on screen. This is Ryan Jones. Look how beat up that car is. And another slow rotation. We haven't seen too much of that at this particular corner, but look at the smoke screen and a brilliant save, is it? Nope, he manages to keep it on the track.
Yeah, only just. Now, that spin for Stephen Tonkin was self-inflicted. Once again, it's a case of the car behind making contact, but after the car involved had already started sliding. Dylan Shepherd should escape a penalty from race control for this. So on the way into the final corner, yeah, Tonkin just loses the rear. He's already sliding by the time Shepherd goes into him, and when the car's loaded up coming out of a corner, what can you really do?
There's really not much at all. That turn 10, that final corner has just been a nightmare all night long, and even that scenario, not much anyone could really have done. But that also exemplifies the issue of when you've got a fast car like Dylan Shepherd on this right sim car having another excursion, Alan Dawson from P11, where these cars that are recovering from poor results and incidents are just unable to really make their way cleanly through despite their best efforts. Just, the pace difference and mistakes from cars ahead. There's just no room for that really here, Reece. So unfortunately more issues creeping in for these guys. Now, we did notice Rick Kuznetsov had pulled away quite a lot. That gap is gone once again. Thomas Hinz absolutely with the bit between the teeth now. This is a very different Hinsey to what we saw in race 1, who was letting cars go towards the end of the race to solidify a top 10 spot. He's going for a race victory here. He's absolutely got his sights set on that 9.5 Sinsports car. How will Hinsey approach this one? And you can see Lachlan Capel wasting no time getting on the back of Simon Mazzomo with about 3 laps to go at the end of this lap. It's going to be all to play for the podium.
Yeah, keep your eyes on this top 4, everybody. This will be a fantastic finish for sure. You know, yeah, Hinsey, when he's a bit further back, he does tend to drive conservatively. He thinks about the long game, but when he's at the front of the field, he will fight with everything he's got. Rick Kuznetsov has seen quite a bit of success in other leagues as well, particularly on the V8 side, but not particularly experienced in these cars. Replay on the bottom of your screen meanwhile. This is Martin Lofthouse, and into turn 5, just a massive lock up there. These cars, of course, don't have anti-lock brakes, so once those things lock up over the rise, it is game over. Good night, sweetheart. But he does manage to keep it out of the barrier. So he will continue, but it's been a dramatic race for a lot of our AM drivers here tonight. Keep our eyes focused here on Thomas Hinz. Looks like, meanwhile, Dylan Shepherd has come into the pit lane. I think he got a bit too much damage from that contact with Gordon Ramsay, and he'll be able to hopefully get that repaired in time for the end of the race, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Meanwhile, oh God, yeah, okay, so that's what put Shepherd out. It wasn't the contact with Ramsey. I think there's just some instability in that car that he's really struggling with at the moment. Shame for the driver who qualified in 6th place. All right then. Actually, no, not 6th place. Where did Shepherd qualify? 6th. My apologies. Looking at the wrong numbers. These are the right numbers to look at. The top 4. Rick Kuznetsov now starting the penultimate lap with Thomas Hinz right on the back of him. Capel trying to gear up for a straight exit behind Simon Mazzomo. He still wants to get a podium after a very interesting night.
Yeah, this is the closest Hinsey's been, and now Kuznetsov runs defensive. He's starting to get defensive now. We've seen that's the second time he started to do it. This is what Hinsey wants to see. He wants to try and get him offline and start setting up moves. Keep the pressure on Kuznetsov here. As we've said, incredibly talented driver is Kuznetsov, incredibly quick. But is the experience gap between Hinsey and Kuznetsov in these Porsches going to play a factor here? I kind of think it is. The defense but we've seen Kuznetsov also race with very high IQ in these last couple of races. He didn't defend all the way over. He only just wanted to deter the move. Now he's going really defensive here into a spot you normally can't make the pass, but he had to do something here. Here comes the crisscross. There's Mazzomo sensing the opportunity. A little bit of overlap from Hinsey. He can't quite get there. That'll leave him vulnerable to Mazzomo, and Hinz senses the threat, and there's contact. There's contact between Capel and Mazzomo. It's on here for the podium. Capel can't quite get it done, but here we go. He's got a great exit out of this final corner. Reese, you reckon he's going to go for it at turn 1?
Oh, he's going to have a go of it. Mazzomo goes defensive, leaves Capel a lane around the outside, and, well, Lachlan is not able to find a way past into turn 1. That was incredible. Mazzomo almost lost it on the way into the penultimate corner there on that previous lap. Now, Capel getting a great exit. Looks like issues maybe for Hayden Veld. He's fallen off the back there, but here might be the move for the lead. Rick Kuznetsov defending from Thomas Hinz through turn 5, straightens out the exit, gets it done nicely, that defense, and the same goes for Mazzomo and Capel. There's a gap now between our leaders and then 3rd and 4th. 2 battles and half a lap to go here at Barber. We have both of them on your screen at the moment. They are neck and neck for the lead and for 3rd. Let's see, this is where Kuznetsov couldn't quite get the run, and Hinsey almost passed him last lap, but Hinsey runs off the track there up the top, and Mazzomo will stay ahead of Capel down at the bottom of your screen. Only one more corner to go, really, to make a pass. Kuznetsov will stay middle of the road. He won't allow Hinsey past. Kinsey will try to make up the gap here between the last couple of corners, but it's not going to work. He gets a great exit, though. It's going to be a drag race to the line, but Rick Kuznetsov will just get it by, what, 3/4 of a car length? What a finish that was.
Oh, just 2 side-by-side finishes there. That was amazing. And then Linsell comes home just in front of Joshua Van Treek. We've got, that is Tyson Broad as well coming across the line there. And there, hang on. Who's this? This is Ben Johnson, who's had a mistake at the death here. Stefan Lawrence, he's going to pick up a ham victory here. All kinds of excursions, but he will be delighted with picking up a win here. Corey Lazarus in behind him, who's had a night to forget after the issues that's going to cause his championship. But this guy on screen picks up a W. We've said it before, from last on the grid though, can't really talk that up enough. At a track like this, that's an excellent result from the 9.5 Synsports driver. Great drive from Kuznetsov tonight, Rick.
Yeah, and it has to be highlighted, he's one of the few drivers in this field who didn't suffer some kind of issue tonight. It was just constantly climbing there for Rick Kuznetsov, who wins race 3, only 0.07 of a second ahead of Thomas Hinz. Simon Mazzomo will beat Lachlan Capel by a 10th to 3rd. Sean Linsell takes the Pro-Am class victory. Josh Van Treek will come home in 2nd in Pro-Am. Hayden Veld, 7th spot for him overall. Broad, Sproul and Sheedy will round out the top 10.
In position number 11, we have Stuart Ellis and P12. A sad story for Daniel Benefield, who had some great promise all night, but it just went from bad to worse very quickly for the Drop Bear Sim Sports driver. Then Nick Tamura's in 13th. 14th goes to Stefan Lawrence, picking up the ANWIM. Corey Lazarus in 15th place. He should still retain the Pro-Am lead, but it's not as comfortable as it was heading into tonight. Then we got Ben Johnson, Gordon Ramsay, Steve Tonkin in P number 18. P number 19 goes to Alan Dawson, and rounding out your top 20 is Wes Edwards.
21st spot in the end, Ryan Jones, despite that rollover, manages to come home with a finish. Martin Lofthouse also getting to the end along with Josh Lane. Dylan Shepherd is 2 laps down after pulling into the pits and not coming back out again, it seems. Ash Davis, Matt Bowler and Riley Bilson both all retiring from this race, and that is significant there for Matthew Bowler. From the win in race 1 to 27th in race 2 and a retirement in race 3. That is disastrous for car number 12. But we're going to jump in for driver interviews now. First driver to join us is Thomas Hinz, and it's quite a fantastic run here from Hinsey. Welcome to the comms box once again, Tom. And wow, what a night for you. 2 podiums out of that one. Were you expecting that?
Not really. Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, apparently I think Dan just confirmed that Rick just nicked me for a round win, but that's fine. It was I wasn't expecting to be in the fight for a round win. So just obviously I was just hoping to, like I have every round, really just keep it clean. If I could be somewhere in the 10, that'd be nice. Just just be in the region, just keep it out of trouble, bank points, and helped obviously Berkey. I think had some dramas, so he lost a heap, and then just had to try and keep close to Mez, really. First race, got an insane launch and just got clear of the trouble, tried to play it smart. And then the same again really with the second. I was faster, I think, than the guys ahead just by a little, but I didn't want to do anything dumb, do any stupid moves to throw it away. So I just tried to fight where I could, but again, Rick was really good in defence. And then, the third race was awesome fun there, that battle with Mez and Rick there at the front was awesome. And kudos to Rick, he fought very hard, but very fair. It was a great defence. Very happy with that.
As you should be, Hinsey. Daytona next round. Hopefully we get another chance to chat to you then. Anyone you'd like to thank for your results tonight?
Just the June Shifters, Racecraft, all the chassis to all the sponsors on the car. Big thanks to them. Big thanks to Henry for the beautiful liveries he always does with all his liveries and all the team. Big thanks to Dan and the admin crew at AOG, the awesome work they do to keep this series as top notch as it is. Big thanks to you guys for the broadcast.
All right, well, Thomas Hinz with a very strong 2nd place overall in the 7th round of the championship. Our round winner, meanwhile, joins us now. Ross Rizzo's going to have a chat to Rick Kuznetsov.
Rick, welcome to the Combox, and congratulations on successfully pulling off a last to first over the course of the night. You were thrilling to watch all night, well from the back of the grid, making your way up into the top 10 in race 1, second place in race 2, and then picking up the W in race number 3. And usually not your style of wheels you're normally in the Aussie supercars. You had it on easy mode tonight then, didn't you? Starting from the back in these cars. Tell us about your night. It was a thrill to watch.
Yeah, starting from the back was fun. Getting through the drivers cleanly. I wouldn't say it was an easy night. Comments into was pretty quick. I was trying to battle the car with honesty as well. It's pretty difficult out there. But yeah, I was pretty happy with the result.
Yeah, so how did you deal with? I called it an experience gap for one of a better term. We've seen Hinsey drive these cars quite a lot more frequently. So how did you deal with the pressure? Was it just more your instinct, or because we saw some very clever racecraft from you, but you were obviously very keen to pick up a W. So what was the mindset going into those last few laps?
I was struggling with quite a bit of honesty, so my goal was to try to hold an apex, hold him up, and then try to get a really good drive out so he couldn't get a run on me. Because Hinsey had a really good steer, and I was trying to bottom him up in the apex so I could get a better run.
Clever stuff. Well, the floor is yours for any shout-outs and who gets it done for you.
Racecraft Simulations, Turning Race Apparel, RSW Graphics, Racing Ears, Cutting Edge Tracks, and RB Media. And you guys for putting up the stream.
Thank you very much, Rick. That was our race 3 race winner and one of many highlight reels that we had on the track tonight, Reese. Now, up next, it looks like we have Joshua Van Treek.
Yeah, indeed we do. Welcome to the comms box, Josh. That's a pretty fantastic run from you here tonight, getting into the top 6 in all 3 races and P4 in race 2. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm stoked. So finally put a good round together this season and been pretty atrocious all season. Yeah, qualified well and then avoided some incidents in the first race, and the second and third race just kept it clean and kept it consistent for once. So yeah, really chuffed with that. So yeah, really happy.
As you should be. It looks like the Pro-Am fight is going to really close up here in the final stages of this season, with Pro-Am champ leader Corey Lazarus having quite a few issues here tonight. It's definitely at least closed the gap for you and Sean Linsell, so you must really be feeling the pressure now.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look at the championship standings, but yeah, I saw that Corey had an incident in I think it was the first or second race run in front of me. He got unlucky there. And from then on, I think he just got stuck in the midfield. So yeah, it was just important to qualify near the front and then stay out of that mess towards the middle and the back. So yeah, hopefully I can jump a few spots here and make a late charge in the last round. Maybe we'll see what happens.
Yeah, indeed we will. Well, it's a 6th, a 4th, and a 6th for you tonight, Josh. Who do you have to thank for it?
I'd just like to thank the AOG guys for running a great league, and you guys for covering the broadcast tonight and all across the season.
All right, thanks very much for joining us, Joshua Van Treek, Pro-Am winner here tonight, and Am honours will go to Stefan Lawrence. Ross is going to have a chat to him about that.
Welcome to the Combox, Stefan. Now, how do you feel after a night like tonight? It looks like you've had a fantastic round overall, right? It feels like you've been on the back foot a little bit in terms of the AM Championship fight. Do you reckon that's a sign of things to come? Are you able to launch a final assault in the closer of the championship to try and nip that title away?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I've been seeing how close I am between Stefan. I get it's all confusing. You know, they're all online Stefan, but yeah, no, I just see that I'm closing in that little bit, so I'm just trying to put in. Man, I was on Struggle Street at this track, man. I don't know how I did somewhat decent. I was all over the place. What it felt like.
I take it's probably one of very few excursions you've taken to this place then.
Oh, no, I did a couple in the V8s. I've been getting used to the GT4 car. I've been kind of jumping in that a little bit lately and having fun with the team. So, yeah, I think I'm getting used to the GT4. But no, it was I was just on Struggle Street. I was trying my best to stay on the track. I think race 2, I got into like four incidents, 4 crashes, things I couldn't control. So, but no, it's good to get a little, get up there and especially stay in front of Josh and Stephen.
Well, look, it was a difficult night for most, and it was good to see you getting a bit of success here tonight. You've been chipping away at this championship, and it looks like it's starting to come good. So, feeling confident into next round?
Can you remind me what track it is?
Daytona.
Ooh. Maybe. We'll see how we go.
All right, the floor's yours for any shout-outs.
Oh man, I haven't done this in a while. So, just want to thank Bliss and Holmes. I just want to thank all the boys as well and Riot. Just getting some new sponsors on board. Like to thank Gaming Gear Direct. I'd also like to thank Jason Cassar Floor Sanding, and I'm pretty sure that's it.
Thanks very much, Stefan. It was an absolute pleasure to watch you all tonight. So, that just about wraps up a crazy night at Barber Motorsports Park Race. The highlights reel will be enormous for this one.
Yeah, absolutely will. And have a look at those Pro-Am standings provisionally there. The gap very much eliminated for Corey Lazarus. Lincel is still within striking distance for the Pro-Am title coming into next round at Daytona International Speedway. This is going to be fantastic, and we really hope that you'll be able to join us for that in 2 weeks' time. Coverage from 8 p.m. Australian Eastern on May the 30th. The AOG Porsche Cup presented by Bowler Media here on SimSpeed TV. I'm Reese Gardner. It was Ross Rizzo with me in the comms box tonight, and Jay Kennedy, as always, coming in clutch on the production duties. Make sure to like us on the socials, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, we say thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.